Welcome to the ninth installment of the 22 and 22 series, where we will rank the 22 teams returning to the regular season in Orlando. At the number 14 spot, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. Starting with the season's recap, the Pelicans season has definitely been a roller coaster. With the first overall pick, Zion Williamson, missing the larger part of the season with a knee injury, the Pelicans were severely underperforming. This doesn't go without saying that other players such as Brandon Ingram have showed up big time, putting up at least 20 points per game, which is significant. And this is especially applicable to Brandon Ingram, who improved by nearly 6 points from the previous season with the Lakers, with the same amount of minutes, which is very, very impressive. As for some player news, 3 anonymous players on the Pelicans have tested positive, and the most important players, such as Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion, and Drew Holiday, are planning to play in Orlando as of today. Moving on to an outlook for the rest of the season, just taking a look at the Pelicans' schedule, it seems very easy compared to a lot of the other teams. I would say the only difficult games being the game against the Clippers and potentially the Jazz, but I think that the Pelicans will still probably beat the Jazz. So in total, I have the Pelicans going 7-1 or 6-2, most likely 7-1, since all the other teams they're facing are mostly just 9th seed contenders, which is basically nothing for the new Pelicans, especially with Zion bulking up, as we mentioned in previous videos, and putting on more muscular weight. I think he's going to be a very serious threat, even more of a threat, and he was a very, very huge threat before he gained more muscle weight. I think he's going to be very scary, even though he's just a rookie. I think that the Pelicans have a very good chance of making the playoffs. I think they'll most likely get the 9th seed, and in the play-in tournament, they have a very high chance of beating the Grizzlies. So I think the Pelicans have a decent shot at this. Okay, so now we're on to the part of the video where we're each going to discuss our individual rankings for the specific team. And today we're going to do the Pelican rankings, as I said earlier in the video. So starting with my ranking for the Pelicans, I had them decently high at number 14 in the rankings. And this is for several reasons. As I said before, right before this segment, the Pelicans have a very easy schedule compared to a lot of the other teams. So they're definitely going to have a lot of success when it comes to who can get the 9th seed in the NBA, because there are basically 3 or 4 teams that are 3.5 games behind with nearly identical records. So I think the Pelicans have the best shot out of those few teams. And in addition, they're not really affected by the virus as much as the other teams are, with a lot of key players still returning, and actually players like Zion Williamson taking advantage of the situation to improve himself physically. So I think that the Pelicans have a very good shot at making the playoffs, and I think that they're a very solid team as of now.
I generally agree. I had the Pelicans also at the number 14 slot. I really have a lot of faith in this team. There's so many things which could go right that if 1 or 2 things don't, it's perfectly okay. They have like a plethora of players. We talked about Lonzo, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Zion, but they also have really other nice role players. They have JJ Redick off the bench. They have Josh Hart off the bench. They have Derek Favors starting. They have Jackson Hayes off the bench. And yeah, like they have some really nice pieces who can easily put up like some decent statistics. Like JJ Redick last year, he averaged 17 points a game on the Sixers and was a crucial part of that team. I really like the direction the Pelicans are going, but I wouldn't say that they're going to go 7-1. I feel the Pelicans, although they have so many pieces going towards them, they are bound to lose a couple of games because they either A, they just haven't meshed well together, B, they're super young, they don't have a lot of experience, and C, they start off with a couple of tough games. They could easily lose to the Jazz to start off, and they will most likely lose to the Clippers to start off. They could have a little bit of instability at the start of their schedule, hopefully, but I think that they'll go 5-3, which should put them in a position to play the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament.
All right, yeah, so we already talked about this yesterday, but I do have the Pelicans actually 1 spot lower at 15th behind the Trailblazers. And I already talked about this, but basically I just think that the Blazers are a more playoff ready team. They have more experience. Even though the Pelicans do look very impressive, we literally have no clue whatsoever how they will perform in a high-pressure scenario, whereas the Trailblazers are a proven conference finals team last year. I'm not saying they'll make the conference finals again, but I think that they'll definitely win enough games to get the play-in tournament. So that's why I have the Pelicans just below the Trailblazers.
Okay, so that about wraps it up for this video and this installment of the 22 and 22 series. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video where we are going to discuss the 13th ranked team. This is the boys from the Benchwarmers signing off. See ya.